Welcome back to Legacy Contracts. And if this is your first time here, we're glad you found us. This channel exists for attorneys who sense that something beneath the surface of their firm isn't quite working, even if it's hard to name. Here, we look beyond surface-level efficiency and into the invisible systems shaping how your firm operates, serves clients, and sustains growth. Through practical insight and honest conversation, we help bring clarity to what's often overlooked, so you can lead with intention, not assumption. If you're interested in building a law firm that's not just functional but thoughtfully designed, you're in the right place. Let's begin. If you've tried to fix your law firm's operations and nothing seems to stick, this isn't a discipline problem. It's not a staffing issue, and it's probably not even a systems problem. The real reason you can't fix your operations is much simpler and much more frustrating. You don't have clear visibility into where things are actually breaking down. And without that visibility, every solution you implement is just a guess. Let's talk about what that actually looks like. Because most firms don't feel like they're broken. Things are getting done. Clients are being served. Revenue is coming in. But underneath that surface, there are quiet inefficiencies happening every single day. Time is being lost in ways that don't get tracked. Work is being repeated without anyone realizing it. Decisions are being made based on assumptions instead of data, and over time, those small gaps start to compound. The problem is you can't fix what you can't see, so what most firms do is they try to fix the symptoms. They hire another person, they add new software, they create more processes, and for a short period of time it feels like progress. But then things start to slow down again. Bottlenecks come back. Work starts slipping through the cracks, and now you're left thinking, why does this keep happening? Here's the reality. Most operational issues inside a law firm are not caused by a lack of effort. They're caused by a lack of alignment. Let me explain. When workflows aren't clearly defined, every team member fills in the gaps differently. When ownership isn't clearly assigned, responsibility becomes shared, and shared responsibility often turns into no real accountability. When communication isn't structured, information gets lost, delayed, or misinterpreted. Individually, these don't seem like major problems, but together, they create friction at every stage of your operation. And that friction has a cost. Not just in time, but in revenue. Let's take a simple example. A client matter moves from intake to execution. If intake isn't fully standardized, key information might be missing. That means someone on your team has to go back and clarify details. That delay might seem small, maybe 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, but multiply that across dozens of matters every week. Now you're looking at hours of lost time, and that's just one point in the process. Now add in follow-ups that weren't scheduled properly, work that had to be revised because expectations weren't clear, invoices that didn't capture all billable time. This is what we call invisible cost. It's not obvious. It doesn't show up on a single report, but it's there, and it's affecting your firm's performance every single day. And here's where most firms get stuck. They try to solve these issues by adding more structure on top of a system they don't fully understand. More tools, more processes, more meetings, but more doesn't equal better. In fact, in many cases, it makes things worse. Because now you're layering complexity on top of inefficiency. So instead of fixing the problem, you're just spreading it out. The firms that actually improve their operations don't start by fixing. They start by seeing. They step back and ask, where is time actually being spent? Where are delays happening? Where is work being duplicated? Where is revenue potentially being lost? And more importantly, which of these issues are happening consistently? Because consistency is where the real cost lies. Anyone can handle a one-time issue. But recurring inefficiencies, that's where performance starts to break down. Let's talk about another example, team utilization. On paper, your team might look fully occupied. Everyone has tasks, work is moving. But when you look closer, you might find some people are overloaded, others are underutilized, and no one has a clear view of the imbalance. That creates bottlenecks in one area and wasted capacity in another. Again, this isn't a people problem, it's a visibility problem. And until you identify it clearly, you can't fix it effectively. The same thing happens with decision-making. A lot of firms rely on intuition. They make calls based on what feels right or what seems urgent. But without real operational data, those decisions are often reactive. They solve immediate issues, but they don't address underlying causes. So the same problems keep coming back. And over time, that creates a cycle. Problem right arrow, quick fix right arrow, temporary improvement right arrow, repeat. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Most firms operate this way because they've never been given a clear framework for diagnosing operational issues. They've been taught how to practice law, not how to run a system. And that's the gap. Operations isn't about working harder. It's about creating clarity. Clarity in workflows, clarity in roles, clarity in data. Because once you have clarity, you can make precise changes, not guesses, not broad adjustments, targeted improvements that actually move the needle. This is why visibility is the starting point. Before you change anything, you need to understand what's happening, where it's happening, and how often it's happening. Only then can you quantify the impact. And once you can quantify the impact, you can prioritize what to fix first. Because not all inefficiencies are equal. Some are minor. Others are quietly costing you significant time and revenue. And without a structured way to identify them, they stay hidden. That's exactly why we built the invisible cost report, not as a full engagement, not as a long, complex process, but as a fast, structured way to answer one question: where is your firm quietly losing time, capacity, and revenue? It starts with a short diagnostic, 10 to 12 questions, simple on the surface, but designed to reveal patterns. From there, we conduct a targeted operational analysis. We look at how your firm is currently functioning, not how it's supposed to function, and then we translate that into a one-page report. Clear findings, specific gaps, and practical next steps. No fluff, no unnecessary complexity, just visibility. Because once you can see where the breakdowns are, the path forward becomes much clearer. You stop guessing, you stop overcorrecting, and you start making informed decisions. That's the shift, from reactive to intentional, from scattered to structured, from hidden cost to measurable performance. So if you've been trying to fix your operations and nothing seems to stick, take a step back. Don't add another tool. Don't create another process. Start by asking, do I actually have a clear picture of what's happening inside my firm? If the answer is no, or even not completely, then that's your starting point. Because the real reason you can't fix your operations isn't a lack of effort. It's a lack of visibility. And once you solve that, everything else becomes a lot easier to fix. If you want to get that clarity, you can start with the invisible cost diagnostic. It takes about 5 minutes, and it's designed to give you a quick snapshot of your firm's operational health. From there, you can decide if a deeper report makes sense. Either way, the goal is the same: give you the visibility you need to make better decisions. Because when you can see clearly, you can fix precisely. And that's where real operational improvement begins. We hope today's insight helped bring clarity to something that may have been operating quietly in the background of your firm. Progress doesn't always start with doing more. It often starts with seeing more clearly. Law firms aren't built overnight. They're shaped by the decisions you make once the invisible becomes visible. This is Legacy Contracts, and until next time, keep leading with clarity.